Welcome to the NAIOP Southern Nevada May Breakfast Program. My name is Cassie Catania Sue, and I have the privilege of serving as your 2024 chapter president this year. Good morning to everybody here in the room and also everybody on Zoom. If you're following along on Zoom, we will be concluding around 9:15. For all of you here in the room, as a reminder, if you have any questions as the panel is in progress, please make sure to write the questions down with pads and pens provided on all of the tables, and you can kind of wave them in the air. And where is Dan Tutland? Tutland, where are you? There he is. So Tutland will walk around and grab the questions from you during the panel. Today we have a star-studded audience that includes some very special guests. I would like to recognize our elected officials that are in attendance today. When I call your name, please stand to be recognized. Las Vegas Councilman Cedric SIOR. Clark County Commissioner Michael Naft. Saw him. And the City of Las Vegas Mayor's Office. Thank you. And as always, if we have any UNLV students in the room, please stand. Thank you. Now let's take a moment, please, to recognize our President's Circle sponsors. They are the critical component to the success of our chapter. This year, we have 4 platinum sponsors. Special thank you to each one. Cox Business has supported our chapter for 21 years. Gatsky Commercial Real Estate since 2022. Martin Harris Construction since 2001. And Schnitzer Properties since 2000. Thank you. We'd also like to thank our gold sponsors, Howard Hughes, Kimley Horn and Associates, Majestic Realty Company, Nevada General Construction, Panettone Development Company, Prologis, and Southern Nevada Water Authority. Thank you. And our remaining President's Circle sponsors, our silver sponsors, are on the board. Thank you. Our bronze sponsors, thank you. And our copper level sponsors, thank you. If you are not yet a 2024 President's Circle sponsor, please let one of us know, myself, Lisa Brady, Matt Hoyt, Reed, any of us would be happy to give you more information on all of the benefits of sponsorship. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over quickly to our past president, Ms. Julie Cleaver with Howard Hughes, to tell you a little bit about the upcoming CRE Converge Convention in October.
People. Good morning. Good morning to everybody in the back as well, and everybody enjoying all that networking that you guys are doing. I was told not to suck, so I'm going to try not to. I want to talk a little bit about the theme of this year's CRE Converge Conference. It's at Caesars Palace, October 8th through the 10th. It's in 5 months, and we've been working hard to try to get the right sessions together. A wide variety of topics that we're going to talk about. We're evolving as a commercial industry. The theme is the experience economy, and that's who we are, right? We're all about experience. That's Las Vegas. That's what we do here. I wanted to just, one of the things I want to say is, as we're working differently, as we're shopping differently, we go to a Knights game and we become part of the whole experience, right? What's his name? Dan Palmieri. Sorry, Dan. If you're in the, Dan ends up on the jumbotron. Thank you. I have Cassie here to help me with my words today.
So we've had practice during COVID.
But he's part of the show. I mean, everything that we do, it's becoming more and more opportunities that we're seeing for our businesses, for the commercial industry, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in all of the sessions that we're going to have at Caesars. We want to make sure that we have lots of networking opportunities, so we've changed up the format a little bit. We're trying to also provide more content. We're going to have all of the 60-minute sessions, the longer sessions in the morning when people have some attention span. We're also, between the sessions, we're going to do a lot of fun events, whether it's golf simulator or it's games or it's learning how to make the perfect martini. We're going to try to make it as fun as possible so that you are enjoying learning. That's part of the whole experience, right? And in true Las Vegas fashion, we're going to have a happy hour about an hour before our Omni nightclub reception. So there's going to be a lot flowing and there's going to be a lot going. I hope everybody has a good time.
Now I'm going.
Yes.
Okay.
That's really all I had to say. Thank you for your time. We have some great tours. I'll talk about that more in the summer. I'll just come back every month and bug the hell out of you until you register, and I'll be looking to see who is going to be there.
How many people do we want?
We went through, well, overall, with the highest attendance has been 1,500. That was in Chicago.
But how many do we want from our
We-
chapter? I think, 100?
Well, yeah, at least 100 from here. We've got 700 members, almost 700 members. We're the 8th largest chapter in the country, so we've got to bring it. This is our home. We've got to show up and show out. We want to get 3,000 attendees. I think we're on the way to doing that. We don't have any of our sessions posted online. Registration is open, and we have hundreds of people that have already registered. So there's a lot of excitement building around this conference, but we need all of you to help us bring it home. Thank you.
Go Vegas. I'll go off script, but Katrina and Jonna won't like it. Thank you, Julie. For those that don't know, Julie serves on the national board and is the chair of education for National NAIOP. So she is very involved in this, and several of us here in the chapter are also on the planning committee for convention. So I do echo Julie's sentiments that I would love to see a good showing from our chapter this year. A couple years ago, Julie, we were in Chicago, and I think the Seattle chapter had 56 members there. So I would like to see at least 100 of us show up at the conference in October. So mark your calendars now. There is discounted pricing, and the registration link is open. We also do get a discounted rate for being the local host chapter. So the information's on the website, or if you need me to show you, I can. But please consider attending. I do think it'll be worth everyone's while. And now, with that, on to our committee announcements.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas Godbout, Vice President of Commercial Lending at First Savings Bank. I'm here on behalf of the DLI committee. We're gearing up for this year's DLI class for anybody that's under the age of 35. This is a program for you. Applications are available online on our Southern Nevada NAIOP website. The deadline is July 10th. Secondly, for those who are DLI alumni, we are actually having a DLI 15-year reunion on June 13th. This is going to be from 5 to 7 p.m. at Taps and Barrels here in Las Vegas. So again, anybody who was involved in the DLI program, alumni, this is on June 13th from 5 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Stand up if you're a DLI alumni. All right, so Thomas, all of these people better register for the event on June 13th. Right? Yeah. These are all alumni, so we expect you all to register if you haven't already for the event on June 13th. And if you're in the room and under 35, take a look around at how many people are former DLI and get your application in by July 10th. And join a committee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Turchin with CODA. I'm the chair of the Education Committee. We have our next members-only education panel next Friday. It's going to be a great program. We're over at Las Vegas Realtors, and we have Steve Neiger moderating a panel with John Restrepo and Mike Ford, and we're going to be talking about public lands. So if you're interested and a member, please sign up. You can register on the website. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Art Green from Geotechnical and Environmental Services, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for people like Linda, wherever you're sitting. I met you this morning because our next mixer is June 27th, but it's members only. All right? It's members only. So I'm sorry for all of you in the room that can't go. All right? June 27th.
We can fix that, though. There's
exactly.
time.
Micah, can you stand up for a moment? If you are not a member, you can't go to this mixer, but you can see Micah this morning, right? And he can help you work your way towards membership, and then I don't have to be sorry for you. I can just be sorry for the other people that didn't sign up in time and the event got filled up. June 27th is the mixer. We also have sponsorships available. If you want to be a sponsor, sponsorship is very, very reasonably priced. You can see me as well. I'll stay late, so you can find out more about that. But that's not all we want to talk about. I'm not sorry for this because August 1st is our big bowling tournament, and there are 5-person teams, and only one has to be a member. So, Linda, that means you can bowl. And, Linda, I will buy you a drink later. I know I'm picking on you today, but it means I love you. It's August 1st, all right? You're going to see an announcement real soon. Teams of 5. It's going to be right here. You don't have to be a bowler. I mean, I've bowled in this tournament ever since I've joined NAIOP, and I suck. I'm really bad. All right, but everyone has a great time. Well, a few teams care, but most teams don't care. All right, so we have 2 things to worry about. June 27th, you need to be a member to go, all right? Linda, join today. August 1st, the bowling tournament. Keep an eye out for that. There's going to be sponsorships available for that as well. If you have any questions about membership, see Micah. You want to talk sponsorships or bowling or drinking at the Sand Dollar, you can see me. Thank you very much. I will see you on June 27th.
Thank you to all of our committee chairs and committee members. We couldn't do it without your hard work and dedication to the chapter. And if you are a member and want more information on joining a committee, you're welcome again to reach out to anyone who just got up to speak or any of us on the board. We'd be happy to give you some more information. Each month, we also like to take a moment to recognize all of our new members. So if you are a new member, which would be notated by a red ribbon on your name tag, or if your name is on the screen, please stand to be recognized. Welcome to our new members. You can attend the event on June 27th. Right, Art? You can sit right there, Sarah. And this month, we actually did hit 702 members. So we have ticked back up over 700. So thank you all for your continued support. We are 8th in the country as far as largest chapters. Number 1 in our hearts for being the best, of course. But again, Micah can help you if you would like more information on becoming a member. Now I would like to take a moment to thank our 2024 breakfast meeting sponsors, American Nevada Realty, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, Cox Business, Gatsky Commercial Real Estate, Martin Harris Construction, McCarthy Building Companies, Inc., NV Energy, R&O Construction, Southern Nevada Water Authority, Southland Industries, and our breakfast Wi-Fi sponsor, Schnitzer Properties. Thank you all for your support. And a special thank you to this morning's breakfast sponsor, NV Energy. I would like to introduce Chad Jacks, Business Development Executive with NV Energy, to come to the stage. Welcome, Chad.
Good morning. I'm Chad Jacks with NV Energy. I'm a new business development executive for Southern Nevada. Bear with me just one second here. NV Energy is proud to sponsor events like this. We recognize the important role the development community plays in economic development in Southern Nevada, and we're excited about our partnership with you. To get started, I wanted to share some good news. In 2024 through 2025, NV Energy's rates are going down, which means your bills will be going down. I didn't even have to read pause for applause. Wow. Our team also works to provide you or potential clients with a rate estimate so you can better predict future costs. Again, we work hard to keep our rates competitive. The charts you see there show our standing within the U.S. average, and again, those rates will be going down. Next, I have a slide here showing our discovery process. And essentially, NV Energy will complete a discovery process when a customer requests us to look at power availability or a ballpark estimate for either preliminary analysis or formal planning for large and complex projects. We do require some information to get the process going, as you can see on screen. And depending upon the project, we might have to do an engineering study to better look at transmission service options or multiple distribution feeds. You can see what's included in the discovery package on the bottom half of the slide there. Before I wrap up, I'll talk about a few other tools that we offer. The Nevada Site Locator provides available real estate, demographic information, and other useful data for site consultants and potential firms interested in Southern Nevada to identify the perfect location for their business. And the site is marketed nationally. As our partner, we're happy to provide you the opportunity to list your Nevada industrial or commercial property at no charge. We also offer several products and services to help you control your energy bills even more, like our Power Shift program. Leaf is actually in the back corner of the room, ready to talk about those programs and how they can reduce your bills even further. We offer several other rate options, like our NV Green Energy Rider, which can enable your facility to procure energy 100% renewable. The Cost of Living Index provides quarterly city-to-city comparisons using 60 goods and services collected at the local level, and the Western states business cost comparisons assess various categories for 10 states. We welcome the opportunity to talk to you more in depth about any of these programs or interests in partnership with NV Energy. I'll be here for the remainder and wanted to say thank you very much for having us. This is what we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your sponsorship today. This year, we are continuing with the monthly recognition of members who are really making a difference. That was started last year by Reed. But this month, I actually did want to do something a little different because of the panel that we have today. Today's panel is the Spotlight Award winners, and including down to the moderator, Reed, with Schnitzer Properties as Development Firm of the Year. I have served on the Spotlight Awards Committee for 6 years now. And so I did want to just take a moment today to tell you a little bit about what makes a Spotlight Award winner, because I think we've all heard some of the scuttle after each ceremony. So if you are more curious after today, you're welcome to join the committee and see exactly what goes into the awards and how we do it. But quickly, I just want to say, as far as the project awards go, anything from TIs to ground-up development, basically all of the submissions are judged on merit and kind of telling your story. They are judged from a panel of experts all around the country, and we try to make them as anonymous as possible. So I'm sure you've probably heard from Gaetana, Amanda, or I in the last several years if there was an opportunity where we needed to modify to make your submission anonymous. So essentially on the project awards, you want to tell a story about your project. You want to highlight why your project is important to the community and to the industry and to all of us in business development. You want to tell list the building details, what makes your building unique and special, and you want to highlight the project or building successes. If it's a TI, did it make, the office TI more amenable to return to office? If it's a ground-up construction and it was a spec building, did you pre-lease it to a certain amount? Those are the things that go into the submissions that really make them stand out to the judges. And I will tell you, having sat in on several of the judges' sessions over the years, The biggest two things, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and Gaetana, tell me if you disagree, the overcoming challenges and finding creative solutions question alone is the question I feel like the judges spend the most time on. So for anybody in the room, which should be most of you who have any of you have submitted any project awards, this is the one question I would tell you to really spend the most time on. Why, what hurdles did you run into and how did you overcome them? You want the judges to find something in your submission to get them talking about it, because when they go to judge 60, 70 submissions in one day, mind you, across all of the categories, when they pick that day basically the finalists, which are the merit award winners, down to the honor award winner, which is the one who will receive the trophy on stage, you want them to remember your project, and you want them to find something in your submission to talk about, so that when they go to make their consensus on the winners, they're like, oh yeah, how about that project where they had that really interesting thing? Thinking back, they had to complete this while leaving the hospital open. They had to complete this while casino operations were open. Those were things that I've heard. And then the pictures. I can't tell you how many, redevelopment projects or renovation projects that don't have before and after photos. So how can a judge really understand the meaningful impact of a project? And a lot of times the pictures that I see also, aren't the greatest pictures of a project. Again, out of market judges, so how can you give them the best possible picture of how, literal picture, but of your project? And so somebody that hasn't driven by it every day on their way to work, unlike us in the market. So I just want to share that and hope that it helps any of you with your submissions for next year. And on the industry award side, anything from developer of the year, broker of the year, general contractor of the year, engineer of the year, there are many components that go into that, but they're all weighted just about the same. And when I say that, I mean it's equally as important, your NAIOP involvement and your community involvement. So if you are a company that is heavily involved in the community and does great projects, thank you for everything that you do for the community. But if you're not showing up and providing support to NAIOP, it would make it hard for your company to win. But if you are a company that's heavily involved in NAIOP and not doing a lot otherwise in the community and not working on some of the projects that have made meaningful impact, it may also be hard for you to win. So I just think it's important for everybody to understand what goes into all of these submissions and how they're viewed. So, and NAIOP participation does not necessarily mean at all most dollars spent, highest sponsorships. It could very well be sweat equity. So how many committee members do you have in your organization that help us drive the chapter? How many events are you showing up to? Are any of you participating on boards and volunteering at events? So there's several ways to do it. It's not necessarily just dollars spent on the chapter, although that does, the dollars spent do drive our events. But there's many, many ways to get really high merits on NAIOP involvement in your submission. So I just wanted to share that today, because today's panel is an esteemed panel and some of my dearest friends, and they were all the Spotlight Award winners this year. And so I think it's important to note how that happens. There's also, merit for NAIOP national involvement. So if any of you have thought about joining a forum, a national committee, I was on several task force last year, and I'm also a visionary and now governor, actually the 88th governor for National NAIOP. And several people here are on forums. So that also gets credit on your submission. So again, the ways to increase your involvement in the community and through NAIOP is what I would tell you. It's May, end of May, but you have plenty of time to increase it now through the end of the year for your submission next year for 2024. And again, if you have any questions, myself, Gaetana, or Amanda from Schnitzer, we'd be happy to help you dive in more and how we can get you more involved. So I just want to at least share that. We hear it a lot, and I thought it would be important to glean on the individuals that are going to be up here today. So they all are equally involved in NAIOP and within the community, and why they're all our shining stars that we're going to shine a spotlight on today. So thank you. And again, thank you to the Amazing Programs Committee for yet another exciting program. Real quickly, and again, don't forget Q&A. Tutland will be walking around, grabbing if you have any questions. So I get the pleasure today of introducing my dear friend and your past president, Reed Gottesman with Schnitzer Properties. Thank you, Reed. He is our moderator today. You coming up here? Let's go. So I'll just give you the Cassie's version of Reed's bio for you today.
Should I sit?
Yeah, sit.
All right.
I'll keep it PG, I promise. So Reed Gottesman is Senior Vice President and Regional Manager for Schnitzer Properties. He and his family moved here in July of 2008, and he's been with Schnitzer ever since. He now oversees Southern Nevada, Utah, and Southern California. Correct? Am I doing
Correct.
good? All right. And he is, again, your past president for NAIOP Southern Nevada last year, a DLI graduate for the second class in 2010, and has worn many hats within your NAIOP chapter, and several of his team members are involved in local and national NAIOP, and 11.8 or 12 million square feet now in Southern Nevada.
About 11.
11 million square feet in Southern Nevada with Schnitzer Properties. So I'm very excited, and I think Reed's going to do an incredible job today, and he will have the distinct honor of introducing the panelists. Thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Cassie. So I have to do at least a decent job because my friend Vanessa also told me not to suck today. One thing about what Cassie said, as the treasurer of NAIOP Southern Nevada, keep writing those checks. The money part is extremely important. So we have a broker panel for you today, and Cassie really did get into how this group was chosen. It was chosen much differently than in the past. So I think that this was a pretty neat way to do it, because all of our participants today were 2023 NAIOP Southern Nevada Spotlight Award winners. So they and their teams were winners of the 2023 NAIOP Southern Nevada Spotlight Award for Broker of the Year for their specific disciplines. And the reason I'm here is because of my role at Schnitzer Properties, and we were the 2023 NAIOP Southern Nevada Award winner for Developer of the Year. Yeah. When I was first asked to be moderator, I looked at the brokers who would be participating, and something really hit me. This panel features a different generation of leaders who have stepped up in our industry. These panelists, they're no longer up-and-comers. They're the here and now. All of these brokers, they each have plus or minus 20 years of experience in the brokerage industry, and these are the people that I grew up with in the industry. So to me, it was just a really cool realization. This group all started their careers during or just prior to the Great Recession, or just right around that time. They each survived, and now they're thriving to become the industry leaders that they are today. And today, all of us in the room and on Zoom have the good fortune to benefit from the vast amount of collective knowledge that they're going to share with us. So what I'm going to do now, without further ado, is I'm going to introduce each one individually. Feel free to give them a big round of applause as I introduce them. And then we'll start with our questions. Thill, come on up. He's representing his team as NAIOP Southern Nevada Office Broker of the Year. Any seat you want. He wants to sit far from me.
We're always last. So
Tabor is we're going to do things a little different. We're going to give you your due. Tabor is an executive vice president at Colliers International. So I screwed that up, so what I'll do is I'll introduce him and then you'll clap. So I'm going to do a better job now. I'm going to try not to suck. Steve Neiger is representing his team as NAIOP Southern Nevada Retail Broker of the Year. He is principal and managing broker at Cass Capital Partners. Yes.
I'm not afraid to sit next to you, but
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're used to it. Garret Toft is representing his team as NAIOP Southern Nevada Industrial Broker of the Year, and Garret holds the prestigious title of Vice Chairman at CBRE. Woo!
Thanks.
Probably is. Yeah. Garret, is he the youngest vice chairman? Second youngest vice chairman at all of CBRE. That is quite impressive.
Yeah, thanks.
In my opening, I mentioned that really hit me when I realized that the panelists who are the NAIOP Spotlight Brokers of the Year are a group of people I've literally grown up with professionally. And because of this history, I thought it would be fun to weave in a little story that I remember about an early encounter with these guys. And I'm going to do that as I ask each panelist their first question. And the first question we're going to start with, it's going to kind of help us get to know them personally, individually a little bit, before we get into the more traditional market discussion where we'll have a chock full of information. So Tabor, since your office and you think you're always last, you're going to start. And also because Tabor is the senior statesman of this panel.
Wow.
So when I saw that you'd be a panelist, I immediately had a flashback to the first time I met you. It's kind of weird, but it's sort of a vivid memory for me. I think it was 2009, but it could have been 2010. We were in the depths of the Great Recession. Tabor, you and Dan Palmieri were meeting with me at the Spectrum of Las Vegas to tour a small industrial space that had an overbuilt office because Tabor and Dan are office brokers. And for those of you that don't know the Spectrum, it's a large Schnitzer industrial project on the east side of town that has everything from distribution space down to multi-tenant industrial. So Dan and Tabor, they pull up in their car. I knew Dan Palmieri from my DLI class, and Tabor was the senior guy representing the prospective tenant on this tour. And I think this overbuilt industrial space was less than 2,000 square feet. I think the lease rate was probably less than, or right around 35 cents a square foot. And I think we were all probably a little bit desperate to make that deal. So for whatever reason, I've always remembered that, and it's pretty great to see how far you've come to become really the market leader you are today.
3,000 feet now. Is what
Yes, you're up to 3,000 feet, but you know, mostly not overbuilt industrial spaces you're working on. So now that I've buttered you up sufficiently, what is your focus, really your bread and butter? Tell the audience about a day in the life of a NAIOP Southern Nevada Broker of the Year.
Well, as you said, I work on a team with two other brokers, and we all work autonomously and we work collaboratively at the same time.
And who are these other brokers?
So Megan McInerney, who's actually heads up community service as the chair, and Patty Dillon, who is now on NAIOP's board of directors.
That's right.
So, you know, we all work on various listing projects, tenant rep projects, and then we all get together and kind of, you know, brainstorm and discuss strategy to make the best experience for the client.
Right on. All right, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We've worked very closely together now for more than a decade. For you, my first memory is when you showed up at a broker leasing meeting for Schnitzer's Center at Spring Mountain in Chinatown, and you were the newest member of Adam Malin's team. This is back when Adam and Steve worked at the Equity Group. Not too long after that, Adam made a move. He moved to Logic Commercial, and you stayed on as our listing broker at Spring Mountain, and you've since evolved really into an extended member of the Schnitzer team. And since I have the microphone right now, I'm going to take this opportunity to say that Steve is truly one of the good guys of our industry and a tremendously valuable member of NAIOP Southern Nevada. So please give this guy an extra round of applause.
Thank you, Reed.
All right.
Thank you.
So your personal question. You've had a bit of a circuitous path, and you're now not only a retail broker and a principal of your company, but also part of a team that's developing real estate. Tell this group a little bit about how your journey led you to the current stage of your career as a principal at Cast.
Circuitous. I came into this business right out of college in the property management fields before I knew what commercial real estate was. That was during the Great Recession. And I did some brokerage deals and realized that brokerage was fun and the checks were cool. And so I made the jump, and I had a connection to Scott Godino at the Equity Group. Scott Godino, Brendan Keating. When I came over, they welcomed me to the boiler room, and it was Scott and Brendan and Adam Malin and Chris Clifford and Sean Margulis. And I feel like I'm missing somebody, but they grew it into something pretty awesome and special. And really that move changed my life because those guys, they were young and super aggressive, and their approach to everything was, how do you make money in this industry, and let's do that. So I was putting money into deals back then before I even knew what a Roth IRA was. And so that entrepreneurial spirit has, been ingrained in me. I had started a company in college that failed miserably, and but it went better once I got into this industry. And from the equity group, we were there for a while, and they started Logic. Me and my team, Chris Clifford and Brett Rather, went over to Colliers, had a great 8 years there, and said, you know what, it's time to start our own thing. So we started a new company, and here we are.
And here you are. All right. Garret, what can I say about you?
I don't know. I'm getting nervous. I was a little wilder in my earlier days, so what's coming here? This wasn't on the script.
I've known you. I won't read what's on the script. I've known you for a long time, but I actually feel like I've really just gotten to know you better just over the past really couple of years, and probably more because of girls volleyball than actual commercial real estate. But one thing I can say is I've always marveled at how you operate, which leads me to my first question. The Higgins Toft team, you guys are an industrial powerhouse. You guys are legendary for your work ethic. How instrumental has this dedication been to the level of success that your team has achieved?
Sure. So, we've got a big team. There's 8 of us. We're in a business here that rewards the grind, right? We're not splitting atoms. We're not curing cancer. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of work you put in and the amount of deals or money that you make. So you got to have a lot of discipline, and it just compounds over time. And you got to show up every day. Unfortunately, you got to work on vacation. Like, we are highly compensated, and clients, while they might understand, they don't really care if you're on vacation. Like, you got to get it done, because otherwise they have to get it done, right? So you do have to make sacrifices, but it's just like consistently showing up. It's a stupid little saying, but we would always say on our team, deals lead to deals. You do one transaction, and it opens up an opportunity for another transaction, because you can call a neighbor, or all of a sudden there's another tenant that has a similar profile, or you can say, I just did that deal, and they, believe you have the expertise. So it just over a long period of time compounds, and it's a big part of the success. It's not everything, but you got to start there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's not an accident that these guys are at the top. I mean that. I've been watching from afar what they do for a long time, and it is very impressive. All right, so I wanted to kind of have these guys open up the kimono just a little bit to get to know them, and now we'll move into really where they're going to give us a bunch of their knowledge, which is they have a lot of knowledge. So I want to provide a couple of statistics about the size and pipelines of both the industrial and office markets, and we'll ask questions off of that. So the industrial market, it feels quite large, right? It's 170 million square feet. We've had record deliveries of new space over the past year, and we're on pace now to add another 17 million square feet, which is another 10% on the market on top of what we've already expanded more recently. The office market feels much different, right? It's roughly quarter the size of the industrial market. It's 46 million square feet. Only 370,000 square feet is set to be delivered. So this is fractional growth, and this is after the office market actually lost some of its base because of the Thomas and Mack sale to the state. So really, the office market is roughly staying the same size. So with this as a backdrop, we'll start with Garret. Sorry, Tabor.
You got one.
I tried to do you first. Garret, can you give us a sense of what has been delivered during this record-setting expansion?
Yeah. So, if you go back to 2015, where we kind of got our development cycle started, the market was only 110 million square feet. So fast forward to the end of this year, and we'll be about 185 million square feet, which is just wild. Like, I don't know if there's, I should probably know this, but I don't know if there's another metro in the country, major metro, that on a percentage basis has had that sort of growth in that time frame. So We are, we, are a little over 170 million square feet. Depending on who you talk to, there's, another 13 million square feet that will deliver this year. And it's a little different environment than it was. Vacancy's moving up. I think, vacancy will move up 2 percentage points over the next quarter here.
From what to what?
So we'll go from like 4.5 to 6.5.
So do you still consider this a healthy market?
It's funny. If we didn't have an oversupply situation here, I would say it was a healthy market. Like when
So talk about
Yeah.
that. Walk us through the pipeline and what you mean by an oversupply.
Well, you're building this year. We started off and you were building roughly 10% of your entire market in 1 year.
And what kind of, what should we expect to see? Is it incubator space? Is it, what's going on?
Yeah, so 10% of the market being built this year. You've got, I would say, 85% of that is in the distribution product type.
So it's the big stuff.
Yeah, and that's been consistent this entire
So
cycle.
give them a sense of the square footage of these buildings.
You have buildings that on the small end would be 200,000, on the large end that are 1 million square feet.
So we've got 15 million, 17 million, whatever number you want to hear, being built, but it's really not that many buildings because it's such large swaths of space on each one.
Yeah, I mean, look, people that build the 200 can demise it down and you have 4 tenants, right? So that can become an issue at some point. But I don't think the mix of what is being delivered is so wrong right now. It's just the amount of space. Because, look, if you said, hey, 50% of it's mid-bay, well, that takes a lot of 15,000 square foot
right.
tenants to fill, right? And by the way, so far this year, we've actually had negative net absorption in mid-bay, meaning tenants moving out, which isn't obviously what you want to see.
What are the numbers on that?
Well, year to date, it's like 300 negative. So, back to my point, it's like, yes, we are building a lot of space, but overall, tenant demand isn't that bad. There are some really exciting things happening, and there's deals happening. The deals are taking a long time. We might get to that. But it's just the tenant demand needs to be excellent in order to balance this market, and it's just not going to be balanced. You'll see in a pessimistic scenario, you see an 11% vacancy by the end of the year. In an optimistic scenario, you probably see a 9% vacancy. And it's a different world than we've been operating in.
Is it possible that your mid-bay lost a little bit of, had some negative absorption because these tenants are doing well and moving into larger spaces and leaving one category and growing up into another?
Yeah, there's some of that, but then there's also some, I can't afford the rent, or I'm just, some people just close their businesses and they've owned them a long time and decide to retire, and, if things are slowing down, that's a pretty good time.
Okay.
Right? So it's a mixture of things.
Okay. Tabor, why is there no significant pipeline of new office space?
One, I think it's a lack of available land in areas that office tenants want to be. I mean,
How much land does it take to build, the type of office?
I mean,
you're talking
your
about?
coverage is somewhere around 25%. If you're doing some multi-story, that's if you're going to surface park it. And I think lately we've seen a trend away from surface parked because the land prices have been so expensive that they've gone, with garages that cost $20,000 per stall to build, which is unique. But I think office is a lot like retail, where those tenants really want the visibility and exposure.
How much acreage to build a proper project?
A proper project, probably 5 to 10.
Okay.
Was there another question part of that, too?
Yeah, about the pipeline. Why,
Oh, the
why?
pipeline, yeah, that's right. The pipeline.
We digress.
digress. Well, I think one, it's the national economy, it's the cost of funds, it's the insecurity.
Which we'll get into cost of funds.
Insecurity the banks have toward the office market as a sector, as a whole.
Yeah, that seems to be a big one.
Which, I mean, to kind of just jump in, our market is fantastic for office. I mean, if you really look at it, we're between 10 and 11% vacancy, which is, close to historic highs for industrial. But if it's great for office, because if you really take the new product and the stuff that's situated either in the suburban markets or along the I-215, your vacancy is probably a lot closer to 4%. And our rates are all-time high. Construction costs are also at an all-time high, and tenant construction contributions, TI contributions, are, probably 1.5 times now what the landlord's contributing, which is very unique, and that's all within the last 3 years.
So there's a negative national story on office, but is it fair to say that that really doesn't fit in with us? Really, the world of office feels like it's moving towards what our office space is here.
I mean, a lot of people are back to work. We don't see much in the hybrid workforce here. Another thing to look at is the markets that were really hot during the pandemic, Florida getting the migration from people in New York that moved all these financial services firms, Dallas, which continues to be a hot market, and probably in 1 year built more than our entire office market, and then you've got the migration that we get from California. The difference is the tenants that moved from New York to Florida were 100,000, million, 2 million square foot tenants. The ones that we got were 10,000 feet. We had a couple that were DraftKings was 80,000. But if you really look at it, if DraftKings says, you know what, we're out of Vegas, I mean, really it would be, who cares? It's not going to impact our office market. We're not going to have a 2 or 3% blip in.
I care.
Well, you care.
Sorry.
But I mean, it's not really going to impact us. So I think that the health of our market is due to the size of our tenancy, which tends to be 7,000 to 15,000 square feet. So, and it's so well diversified now. I mean, if you look at it, all the gaming companies, for the most part, they're located on property, so they're not really a significant impact to our office market.
Yeah, and the tenant profile is interesting. I'm hoping we'll have time to get to that. Steve, you are literally taking office off of the market. How does this make sense? And explain.
He is talking about the cliff at Green Valley Ranch. We are taking 100,000 square feet of office at St. Rose and the 215 and converting it to a retail and restaurant destination. Spending about as much, probably as much as we bought it for, spending that on top of it for the renovations, doing something that hasn't really been done before. So we're excited about it. Look, COVID changed a lot of stuff, and office space and the need for office space, I think, was one of them. I don't think I'm wrong. I know that my wife had an office before, and COVID happened, and she's been working at home ever since, and COVID's been gone for a while now. So I know a lot of folks like that, and fortunately, there's tons of office space for them, and they're probably going to find a better deal elsewhere anyway. So the space that's there, it works for retail, because what matters in retail are the demographics and the traffic. And for that area, obviously you guys know it's a pretty decent area right next to Lifetime Fitness and the district, and there was a lot of pent-up demand from really good, exciting tenants that want to go into really exciting projects. And these are great brands that can't put themselves or won't put themselves into just another strip center or a grocery anchored center. They need something different than that. It's part of their vibe. So we're pretty excited about it, and it's been tremendously successful so far. Our anchor already got real estate committee approval last week, so we'll be able to announce that in a few months. And
Why don't you announce it now?
Can't. I'm superstitious.
All right. All right, you're talking about exciting concepts, and so tell us what and where is in the pipeline in the Valley, not just your project.
So I think the general theme in this industry is that spec multi-tenant is really hard to build. You need tenants in tow, and that's why you guys see a lot of single tenant. In my world, in the retail world, and obviously restaurants have been the big thing since the Great Recession and retail, and you need somebody in tow, and that story on the retail side, it's either a single tenant, freestanding, probably with a drive-through, or it's an anchor, whether it's a gym or a grocery store. So, and those users follow rooftops, and the retail behind that kind of follows that. So there's going to be, I think everybody in here probably knows about the Whole Foods in Summerlin. There's going to be a Costco in the Southwest. There's going to be a Winco coming, a Target coming. There's going to be a giant Smith's out in the north along the 215 in the next few years. And otherwise, I was sitting here listening to him, and I thought to myself, man, it must be nice having to count the numbers of how much is getting built every year in industrial. I'm just sitting here watching the population growth go faster than retail development. So, but that's the story.
Back to Garret. So with this hyper growth we've seen, there's going to be a lot of buildings. They're under construction right now. We've got quite a bit planned behind that. So what are developers doing now that you work with? Are they looking at new projects, or are they just focused on building out what's in their pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, most are under construction right now. We've got 20 million square feet in the planned category. But, I think if you're here, Q1 2025, we only have 2 million square feet under construction, right? So pretty much everyone has halted any spec at the moment. You'll see a couple build-to-suits. Like Prologis has been pretty successful with a couple build-to-suits recently, which is, again, some of that good news. But over the course of this year, we started at 17 million square feet. We're at 13 now under construction. We'll be 10 next quarter. It's just going to completely evaporate.
So this in your opinion, will this slowdown of development help the health of the industrial market?
you get one good year of net absorption, and we're back in business.
That's good news.
And there are some of the developers are thinking about that and how to maybe be positioned. It's tough to acquire land right now for various reasons, but the demand story hasn't gone away. Like the number of tenants from outside this market, and everybody likes to talk about the California effect of people moving over, but it's just as much companies elsewhere in the country that are saying, hey, I want to service that population base in California or the West Coast. I just don't want to be there. So the demand is coming from two fronts, and the number of inquiries and surveys that we're putting together is just, the volume's as high as it's ever been. It's just there's not a lot of certainty in the environment, right? So it's hard to make big capital decisions. But whenever that clears, and I don't know what the catalyst is going to be, there's going to be some major catch up, and I think we're going to have record year.
Yeah.
So one record year, you're back in business, and then we're still then I'm talking about how there's zero infill land left, and basically your Apex, El Dorado, some of these outlying areas.
Right.
It's the only place you can build it.
Right. And which attend Steve's education seminar that's coming up soon to learn about that with the land. It is very important. I think what you just described bodes very well for our future. So that's a real positive. Tabor, we don't have much institutional office in this market. We had larger portfolios. Most of them been broken up. Why does that matter to anyone in this room?
I think it creates credibility for our office market when they see institutional money invested here. So, we had, when I got in the business, there was probably 6 institutional kind of great office assets. You had American Nevada Corporation, which had, pretty much the market on Henderson, Green Valley. And then you had Hughes Center, which, changed ownerships probably 6 times since I've been around. And then McCarran Center, Thomas & Mack, their portfolio. And then you had Hughes, which had a portfolio, and I'm talking about the 2008 prior portfolio to Hughes coming back in and kind of reinventing themselves and kickstarting some great new projects. Hughes sold off to Hines, then they broke it off into 4 other different ownerships through there. ANC did the same with JMA, and they broke it up, and now there's 4 or 5 different ownerships at 215 and Green Valley Parkway. Hughes, as far as Hughes Center, we still don't really know what's going to happen with that. There's been obviously interest, and then here it's not available, it's available, they're doing deals, they're not doing deals. But, will that get broken? And if that gets broken, obviously McCarran Center sold to the state. So you've got what I call the new Hughes, and they're from long-term holders, right? So,
Tell them what you.
well, I'm talking about the Howard Hughes Corporation, who's built projects like One Summerlin, 1700 Pavilion, Meridian, which is under construction. Their plan is thoughtful growth, and I think it's did I say that right? It's done. Done. And their growth is thoughtful and it fits a master plan, and so I think they're probably the only group that's going to have future development, but they're also not going to sell. So we're not going to have that institutional interest coming in.
Right.
You also don't have institutions fire selling everything right now,
Right.
Are they waiting or any?
I think they're, last time
targeting the market or?
Last time it went around, it just seemed like everyone just traded properties.
Yeah.
They waited to default, and Blackstone took from Prudential, and they all just kind of did a property swap.
Yeah.
But this go around, from what I understand, best case scenario, if you have an office building, your loan to debt is about 55%. So it's, and that's with great credit tenants. So it makes it somewhat of a challenged investment asset right now, but.
Yeah. All right. Another stat of space that was leased over the past year on the office side, and this is going to get to user profiles. More than 50% of the space leased was leased to local companies on the office side. Industrial is a very different story. Less than 25% of the space leased was to local companies, meaning more than 75% are regional, national, or international companies on the industrial side. See a difference in user profile. Steve, I don't have stats for retail, but you're in this as well. So Tabor, your users of space that do leases, where do they come from? The statistics tell us they're more local companies. Who are they?
That's
Who's using
true.
your space?
So, Mike Tabik said I could phone a friend if I had a question.
Right,
He's on the Zoom thing. He just texted me saying it was all right if I phoned him. Yeah. But it's true. I think the companies that survived the Great Recession, that they went down to a skeleton crew. And now those people that are left standing, they were doing the work of 3 people. And as the economy started to shift and get better, I think their growth was thoughtful. It was like, well, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to, project that, doubling our growth every 3 years. It's just not going to happen. So our growth has been thoughtful and methodical, and I think that's why we've had just, it slowly dipping into our vacancy. Mm-hmm. And, again, that these are groups that survived the worst of it, so now they're thriving.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you look at the office, despite, no one really talks about it, it really does feel like it's a healthy environment. Garrett, on your end, where are the users coming from? And,
Yeah, I mean,
what's their profile?
I talked about it a little bit, but we definitely had, post-COVID, a increase of the California companies coming out here. And there's definitely an element of small and medium-sized businesses where, they're moving because of regulation or, the owner wants more favorable, a more favorable tax environment. And I would say, the percentage that you can directly attribute to coming to California probably doubled in that period. And now it's maybe like, I don't know, 30% or somewhere over the last couple of years. But you also have an element of the Fortune 500 in that same category that they already have a giant network of properties servicing that market. And instead of making the decision to grow incrementally there, they're saying, okay, I'm going to move some of this off, and they'll look at a Las Vegas or Phoenix that we compete with all the time. And these are I'm referring to like the 200,000 plus category. Like, these are big spaces. And those tenants, they can be at that size range. Our market's dominated by regional distribution. We see a little more manufacturing, but we're not a big manufacturing market. Would love if we could diversify a little more, but the big advantage is our geographical positioning to service the entire West Coast from here. And it's regional distribution. It could be the tenants directly doing e-commerce. It could be like a Sephora that is shipping product to all of their stores, the network of stores on the West Coast, but then also doing e-commerce inside. You have third-party logistics companies, which is just, let's say a Target, for example, doesn't want to operate the warehouse themselves. They hire someone else to operate it for them. And a lot of the, awesome thing that I like to see is a lot of these 3PLs and some of the very big names continue to promote this market to their customers as a good market to operate in, and that's been a good sign. But also there's plenty of companies that, believe it or not, they might be distributing nationally, and they're doing it all from the East Coast. And they still have not set up a West Coast distribution center,
So
right?
that's the next
So
wave.
like, that whole story hasn't fully played out yet. And one thing that we're seeing right now, probably more so than we have in the past, and it's kind of, I think, one of the reasons that deals are taking so long to get done right now is you might have a company that, they spent the last 15 years building out their network, and okay, we're going to service the Northwest with this DC, and we're going to service these states over here and these states over here. And they're saying, okay, we're spread too thin. Let's try to get all the lease expirations here so we can get everything under one roof, and we'll serve it more efficiently out of one location. So we're seeing some of that too.
Okay. And I am looking at the clock. And let me get Steve, and then Cassie, should we then go to Q&A?
You can ask more if you want.
Okay, I'm going to keep going for a few more. Steve, where are you seeing your users come from?
Retail is unique, right? There's a lot of different product types, and there's different types of tenants that go into those different product types. You'll see a lot of nationals in a very small select amount of properties in town, and I've had this conversation over and over again with exciting brands that, well, there's this property, and then there's those two properties. And those are the only ones they care about because it's the only one that's on brand with what their company is and what their customer base is, right? So other than the Strip is a different beast altogether because you can have all the nationals, and then you can have a guy that runs 2 steakhouses in the world, and he does a deal on the Strip, and that's a different mentality. The grocery anchored shopping centers, you guys all know that, it's all the mom and pops that and they're filled with small businesses that the internet can't replicate. You can't eat on the internet. You can't get your nails done
Are those
on the
more the
internet.
community?
Yeah, they're more
How
the
are they?
neighborhood.
How are they doing?
I think they're good. I think restaurants. What's been an interesting story is, and it kind of tells where we're at as a community, because there have been a lot of restaurants that have closed in the valley, and it's a combination of things. Probably the most significant is operational costs. It's hard to find labor, plus inflation on all of their goods that they're trying to cook. You know, everything got more expensive that goes into the kitchen. But I think what's important to note is that even though that business or that restaurant may have failed, that restaurant space gets backfilled super quick because we're just not building enough retail. And so, and it's so expensive to build a restaurant anymore that, I mean, we're talking $500,000 for a little restaurant, that there's just people waiting in the wings because they want to start a restaurant and they need a pre-existing. So I think it's healthy.
All right. I think this is an important question. It's the velocity question. Garret, I mean, everyone on the industrial side, you always hear, deals are just taking longer. Talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, we'll do marketing reports for our clients, and you see that one deal that you move up the spreadsheet to an executed lease, and you look at the comment section, and you're like, oh my God, it's that big, and the first tour was 10 months ago, and it might only be a 100,000 square foot deal. It's like, wow.
Isn't it great that Garret gets to say it's only 100,000 square feet?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Got me. No, but they're moving very slow, and you don't have the pressure that you did before, where it's like, okay, sign a lease, or else we're going to go with someone else. In a lot of cases, and I don't like to say it, time's on their side, right? Because the inventory is building. And
Right.
you know, if you run a process right now with a tenant, and you know, shortlist some properties and get responses back, you might get other responses off of your shortlist saying, hey, I want to join the party.
Okay.
Right? So the tenants see that environment, and they know they have time on their side. And they're also, this is the most uncertain time I've ever operated in. And everybody's trying to, like, I don't think I'm alone. Most people can't forecast where revenues are going to be a year or 2 years or whatever from now. Like, business is okay, but there isn't that same confidence in growth where you can make big capital decisions. So that takes a long time. All of the consultants aren't as busy as they once were, right? Attorneys might take a little longer reviewing that lease.
Yes. Yeah. So deals are being over-lawyered now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of things, but there's, you know, transactions are still happening.
So Tabor, I have not heard anything about this on the office side. Has there been a change, a shift?
No, but yeah, there is. I mean, it does take a lot longer to get a deal done. I mean, the last 5 years, it seems like the average deal takes 8 months to get completed. I think a lot of the factors are, you know, the sticker shock when they look at what their tenant contribution is.
So you're talking about cost of construction.
The cost of construction. I think that's probably the most significant thing, and then permitting might take 6 to 8 weeks for permitting, and depending, you know, sometimes there's not that many people in the plans department because they're not that busy, and then they're checking everything. So from start to occupancy, it could be a 8-month process. Previous to that, it was, you know, TIs were 3 months, and we'd say 4 months just to give ourselves a cushion. It's just not the case anymore.
Okay. And Steve, what's your deal cycle look like?
What do you mean?
That's why I'm asking you. I know that you do so many different types of deals, but velocity of these deals, are they eager to make their deals? You say there's not enough retail in town, so maybe they do jump on the spaces.
Yeah, I think what's important is people care, when it comes to development, people care about stability and optimism. And despite, you know, the crazy costs that we've been dealing with on the lending side, on the construction side, people are there's still small multi-tenant spec going on around town, and there's still people doing deals. They are still taking longer. I'm still completely caught off guard by the fact that he said 6 to 8 weeks for permit. That's not, I wish for our guys, but it's still going. Everybody's still population growth is a cure-all for a lot of conversations.
Demographics drive it.
It's driven by demographics and population growth, and everybody's still super hot on Vegas, so we still feel great.
All right. So Dan, I'm going to ask a closing question, and then we'll move to Q&A. Does that work?
That's fine. I think there's just two.
Okay. We're going up against it, so I'm gonna close this out. Steve, why don't we start with you? Where do we go from here?
Back to the office. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, there's tons of projects, billions of dollars in the pipeline on the Strip, which is going to continue to drive job growth, which is going to continue to drive the need for homes and housing, which is going to continue the drive for, or the need for retail and restaurants and grocery stores and all of that. So I think it's a strong trajectory still.
Optimistic.
Yep.
Garret?
So I think you're going to see continued pressure in general. Like there's different submarkets and product types that are much stronger than others. But I think you see some continued pressure on rents for at least the next 9 months. And you might see a little more development product or investment product end up finally hitting the market if some of these owners get nervous. But there is a tremendous amount of capital out there. I've probably talked to more new investors than I have in the last handful of years so far this year, and they're all just waiting for a little better returns, right? So I think values might come down a little bit, but will generally be supported. I think tenant demand remains pretty good. I mean, I don't see anything different to that would signal otherwise. But we just got to work through a little supply. So.
Right. Taylor, I'll get to you, but we didn't have time to get in. There's so much to cover, but didn't have a chance to get into interest rates and sales. There's only so much time here, but
sorry, guys.
we'll get there on another panel, I suppose. But where do you see the office market going from here?
I think the office market's going to remain strong. I'm very optimistic. I think the only drawback is that we don't have enough forward supply right now. So it's going to lead to a tighter market for the tenants. It's also going to lead probably to an anomaly where it's going to appear that our rents have dropped, even though rents, I think, are going to continue to increase. And I say that when you look at the numbers.
Oh, I know where you're going. Yeah.
All the high quality, high rent stuff will be leased. So you take those numbers out, then you go down to the next step, and it's going to have that, kind of illusion that our rents have dropped when, everyone's pushed rents up to catch up to the Class A or the great product, but that product is no longer available. So
the Class B is going to rise.
Class B is going to rise. They're all going to rise, but the numbers might not look that way just because there's nothing available in the stuff that's pushing $4 rents.
Right. Are we skipping
No,
Q&A,
we'll do
or-
Q&A.
We can't.
I'm ready. Probably one or two, yeah.
We have one question from the Mount Rushmore of NAIOP, Rod Martin. And you kind of answered it with rent pressure, but if it goes from 2% to 4% to 6% to maybe 11%, and he's not saying landowners should decrease their prices, I'm sure of this, when do property owners and developers start to feel the pain? For you, Garret.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty safe, Rod. You own in the Southwest. We haven't added much at all this entire cycle in the Southwest. We talked about building 75 million square feet. It's probably definitely under 10 this entire cycle in the Southwest or airport. So you're more insulated there for sure. You're already seeing rents come down in North Las Vegas. Do they have a little further to go? Yeah, maybe. But I think, and they might be off 10% right now, just for reference. You know, at a certain point, the cost of constructing these buildings just keeps on going up, right? And with interest rates where they are, you know, you're just not going to be adding forward supply if that doesn't change, because the land prices really haven't come in much at all. So, you know, if you're in
Script,
that
Garret.
environment, what's that?
It's going down, wasn't in the script.
Okay. Yeah. If you're in that environment, like, and there are transactions happening still, you're gonna wait it out. Like, there's a level that you'll go to before you panic. And I think you'd have to see the tenant demand cut off for, you know, a solid 12 months before you really started seeing additional pain.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't see it right now.
Yeah, and I think then there's nuances also
Yeah.
of which product types within industrial would
Yep,
see the
for
pain
sure.
and wouldn't.
Yep, not all product types and submarkets are the same. Like, there's, you know, we talk about 6.5% vacancy, the entire market moving to that level. Southwest and the airport are still 2.5.
Right.
Right,
It's-
so 2.5% vacants, like, kind
It's
of is a low.
extremely nuanced, yeah.
So,
And, you know, one of the other topics we didn't get into are the outlying areas, the Apex, the El Dorado Valley. And again, this is important parts of our market that do need to be part of the discussion moving forward. Dan, anything else? All right. You know, this panel, these guys, there's so much information. Hope that this provided a good bit of insight into what these guys do. They're at the top of their game. They're the best at what they do. And thank you guys.
Thank you, Reed.
And thank you,
good to be
everyone.
here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all very much, and I, you know, echo Reed's sentiments that it's really refreshing to hear all of your perspectives, and I know most of you very well from NAIOP involvement, and Patty has joined the board now, and Megan as well with her committee involvement. So I think there's, you know, a correlation there, and, you know, guys continue to push the envelope and make all of us better. So thank you for your time this morning, and I like that you all suited up today for this, because I haven't seen some of you in suit in a while, but thank you.
This is as dressed up as I get now.
So yeah, we'll take a photo in a second, but just quickly, thank you again to all of you, and Reed, great job. Thank you to our breakfast sponsor, NV Energy, and if you attended via Zoom, please take a moment to take the closing survey, and have a great day. Next month will be on June 20th, and we're really excited. We have an elected officials or elected leaders panel with City of Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, City of North Las Vegas Mayor Pamela Goyens-Brown, City of Henderson Mayor Michelle Romero, Clark County Commission Chairman Tick Sagerblum, moderated by Tim Costello on the board. So we're very excited for next month's panel, and it looks like July or August we'll follow up with a debt panel for everybody, since we didn't get into the capital questions today. Have a great day, everybody, and official start of summer. Here we go.
Good job, Ben.